On a bright Saturday afternoon, the bustling Riverbend Mall was alive with activity. Families wandered through stores, couples shared pretzels, and children tugged at their parents' arms, eager to visit the toy store. Amid this vibrant scene, a man in his early 50s wheeled himself quietly into the food court. Dressed in a simple jacket and jeans, he wore a bright red MAGA hat atop his head, attracting both curious glances and whispers. This man was Tom Reynolds, a successful entrepreneur and the true owner of Riverbend Mall. Tom had built his business empire from the ground up, overcoming numerous challenges that would have deterred many. Today, however, he was not here as the polished CEO but as an ordinary visitor, wanting to observe his mall and its staff without the usual formalities. As Tom ordered a burger and fries, he settled into a quiet corner table by the large glass windows overlooking the parking lot. He enjoyed the peaceful atmosphere, away from the hustle and bustle. While eating, he noticed a group of teenagers pointing and whispering, their laughter directed at him. He was accustomed to the attention his MAGA hat garnered, both positive and negative. To him, it was a symbol of his beliefs, not a provocation. Nearby, the mall manager, Sarah Mitchell, was on the prowl. In her mid-40s, Sarah wore a tailored blazer and held a clipboard tightly against her chest. Her demeanor radiated authority as she scanned the food court for any signs of trouble or unsavory clientele. Spotting Tom, she turned to her assistant. "Do you see that man?" she said, pointing. "The one in the wheelchair by the windows?" "Yes, ma'am," the assistant replied hesitantly. "That hat," Sarah continued, her lips thinning. "I've told everyone that kind of political nonsense is not welcome here. We have a reputation to uphold." "But he's not causing any trouble," the assistant ventured timidly. "It's not about trouble, it's about image," Sarah snapped. "We can't have complaints. I'll handle it." With purpose, Sarah approached Tom's table, her heels clicking on the tile floor, every step filled with self-righteous confidence. "Excuse me," she said, her voice icy but polite enough to disguise her disdain. Tom looked up, his hazel eyes curious. "Yes? I'm Sarah Mitchell, the manager of this mall. I'm going to have to ask you to remove your hat or leave the premises," she stated firmly, folding her arms. Nearby diners turned their attention to the unfolding drama as conversations hushed. Tom raised an eyebrow. "May I ask why?" Sarah's posture stiffened. "We've received complaints about your hat. It's a political statement that some customers find offensive. This is a family-friendly establishment, and we cannot allow anything that disrupts our patrons' comfort." Tom chuckled softly, setting down his burger. "I see. And is there a policy that says wearing a hat is grounds for removal?" As the manager's tight smile faltered, Tom leaned back in his wheelchair, his calm demeanor unwavering. "I understand your concern, but I'm just here to enjoy my meal. If someone is uncomfortable because of a hat, that's their issue, not mine. Sir, I'm not going to argue with you. You can either comply or leave. Security will be here shortly to escort you out if necessary," Sarah warned, her patience wearing thin. A small crowd had gathered by now, with diners whispering among themselves and a teenager recording the encounter on her phone. "Why can't he wear a hat? This is America, isn't it?" a middle-aged man murmured. Tom glanced at the onlookers and then back at Sarah. "You're making a spectacle out of nothing. Do you really think this is the right way to handle the situation?" "Sir, this is your final warning," Sarah said sharply. Before Tom could respond, two burly security guards arrived, summoned by Sarah's earlier call. "Sir, you need to come with us," one said, his tone firm but not aggressive. Tom sighed, taking a final bite of his burger. "Fine," he said, rolling his wheelchair back slightly. "But you might want to think about how this looks to everyone watching." As the guards escorted him toward the exit, the teenager with the phone followed, still recording. Sarah exhaled sharply, brushing imaginary dust off her blazer. "Some people just don't get it," she muttered to herself as she turned to head back to her office. Unbeknownst to Sarah, the teenager uploaded the video to social media within minutes, titled "Disabled Man Kicked Out of Mall for Wearing MAGA Hat." It quickly began racking up views and comments at lightning speed. Tom left the mall quietly, a faint smile on his face. Sarah had no idea that her moment of authority was about to set off a chain of events she couldn't control. The man she had just humiliated wasn't just any patron, he was the very person who signed her paychecks. The next day, her world was about to turn upside down. Back in her office, Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment. She believed she had handled the situation and protected the mall's family-friendly environment. However, the uneasy glances from her staff lingered in her mind. She brushed it off as part of the job. Leadership was about making tough decisions. Meanwhile, Tom was settling into his home office, sipping tea as his phone buzzed incessantly with notifications. "Tom, this is blowing up," his PR manager texted. "You need to see the video." As he clicked the link, Tom leaned back, watching the footage of his encounter with Sarah unfold. The comments were a firestorm of outrage. "Unbelievable. This guy is my hero for staying calm, and who's the manager? She should be fired," flashed across the screen. Some viewers recognized him, realizing he was not just an ordinary patron. Instead of anger, Tom felt curiosity. How would Sarah handle herself if she knew who he really was? By the next morning, the video had reached over 1 million views, with local news stations picking up the story. Sarah, blissfully unaware of the growing storm, started her day as usual. It wasn't until mid-morning that she noticed a crowd gathering near the food court, phones out, that she began to suspect something was off. A young employee nervously approached her, holding a tablet. Miss Mitchell, have you seen this?" he asked, hesitating. Sarah frowned and snatched the tablet. Her heart sank as she saw the viral video. "Where did this come from?" she demanded. "Social media. It's everywhere now," the employee replied, stepping back cautiously. "A lot of people are upset." Panic surged through Sarah. This could ruin her career. "Get PR on the phone. We need a statement now," she barked, scrambling to contain the fallout. As Sarah worked frantically, Tom was already en route to the mall, now dressed sharply in a tailored suit. He carried an air of authority that was impossible to ignore. When he arrived, whispers spread among the employees and customers, all aware of his identity. Tom knocked twice before entering Sarah's office. Her face paled as she registered who stood before her. "Mr. Reynolds," she stammered. "Good morning, Miss Mitchell." "We need to talk," he said, his gaze steady. "I can explain." "Yesterday was a misunderstanding," Sarah rushed to say. "No need to explain just yet. I've seen the video. What I want to know is this: do you believe the way you handled that situation was appropriate?" Sarah swallowed hard. "I was just trying to maintain order. We had complaints about personal bias." "Let's not sugarcoat this," Tom interrupted. "You saw a man in a MAGA hat and decided he didn't belong in your mall." Tears filled Sarah's eyes. "Are you firing me?" Tom considered her. "That depends on you. I believe in second chances, but only if they're earned. You will issue a public apology, sincere, not rehearsed. You'll enroll in mandatory leadership and diversity training, and you'll work with your team to rebuild the trust you've broken." He paused, letting his words sink in. "If I see even a hint of this behavior again, you'll be out the door faster than you can say, reputation. Do I make myself clear?" Sarah nodded quickly, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, Mr. Reynolds, I understand." Tom stood. "Good. Let's hope you mean it. Because if you don't, the next time we have this conversation, there won't be a second chance." As he left, employees and customers watched with a mix of awe and satisfaction. The tables had turned, and Sarah Mitchell had learned a lesson she wouldn't soon forget. In the days that followed, the mall felt different. Employees whispered in hushed tones, and customers hovered near the food court, discussing the recent drama. Sarah sat in her office, staring blankly at her screen. The viral video had reached mainstream news, with headlines like, "Mall manager faces backlash after kicking out disabled man." Desperate to salvage her reputation, Sarah carefully crafted a public apology. Later that afternoon, she stepped onto a small stage in the mall's atrium, addressing a crowd of onlookers, reporters ready with cameras. "I want to address the events of yesterday," she began, her voice shaky but steadying. "I deeply regret my actions involving Mr. Reynolds. They were unprofessional and do not reflect the values of this mall. I take full responsibility." Some in the crowd nodded, while others crossed their arms skeptically. "Sounds rehearsed," a man muttered. "I will undergo mandatory training on leadership and inclusion to ensure this never happens again. I apologize to Mr. Reynolds for my actions," she concluded, her voice cracking slightly. As she stepped back from the podium, the crowd remained quiet, their expressions unreadable. A reporter pressed on, asking how she planned to rebuild trust. Sarah hesitated, her words failing her. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder, and she realized her apology wasn't enough. Meanwhile, Tom followed the events closely, his inbox flooded with messages, some praising his calm handling of the situation, others urging him to fire Sarah immediately. But Tom believed in redemption paired with accountability. That evening, he returned to the mall unannounced, dressed casually. Observing Sarah speaking quietly with employees, he noted her slouched posture and weary demeanor. The public reckoning had humbled her. "Mr. Reynolds," Sarah said, turning to face him with a mix of dread and relief. "I'm not here for another apology," he said calmly. "I want to see action." Turning to the gathered employees and customers, he addressed them as a group. "What happened here is more than just a managerial mistake, it reflects deeper issues in our society. We all have a responsibility to treat each other with respect and dignity, regardless of our differences. To my employees," Tom continued, "your voices matter. If you feel leadership isn't upholding our values, you can come directly to me. This mall belongs to all of us." He turned back to Sarah. "You've been given a second chance. Don't waste it. Prove to your team, your customers, and yourself that you can be better." Sarah nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "I will, Mr. Reynolds. I promise." As Tom left that evening, he felt a sense of closure. The situation wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The viral video continued to spark discussions about prejudice, power, and accountability. In the following weeks, Sarah made immediate changes. She held meetings with employees, listened to their concerns, and committed to the training Tom had mandated. Gradually, her reputation began to heal, and the mall transformed into a welcoming space. One afternoon, Sarah spotted a man in a wheelchair near the atrium. For a moment, panic surged through her, memories of that fateful day flooding back. But this man wasn't Tom, he was a local veteran proudly wearing a U.S. Army cap. Approaching him with a warm smile, she said, "Hello, sir. Welcome to Riverbend Mall. If there's anything you need, please let us know." The veteran looked up, surprised by her sincerity. "Thank you, ma'am," he replied, tipping his cap. As she walked away, Sarah felt a sense of peace. She was no longer just managing a mall, she was building a community. Later that evening, Tom received an email from one of the mall's employees. "Mr. Reynolds, just wanted to let you know that things feel different around here now, in a good way. Thank you for giving us a second chance to get it right." Leaning back in his chair, Tom felt his heart lighten. He had always believed in the power of redemption, and now he had proof that even the hardest lessons could lead to lasting change.